I'm Lubika Rawood. For more information on the work that we do and how you can help us to help others, please visit our website www.secondchances.org.za.
In Junior Achievement South Africa, its focus is really to expose youngsters within high school and out of school to entrepreneurial thinking, and ours is focused at high school from grade 10 to 12.
I'm very big on youth empowerment and making a difference and touching lives and impacting the lives of our young people. That's practically what I do with my foundation as well, and ever since I was crowned as Miss SA.
The goal of the magazine is to basically share information that will be able to assist small business owners.
You're listening to The Social Show with Viwe Chilwana
and Lubika Rawood, live on brandlive.co.za. Welcome everybody to your daily dose of The Social Show. My name, as said in the clip, is Viwe Chilwana, and I am joined by my ever effervescent
I'm listening. Give me more.
Lubika, you don't need me to give you a bit of a boost because you already have an ego.
Oh, okay. It's going down.
It's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing.
But okay, let's go into our news with before anything else. Now, the Department of International Relations and Cooperation has called on the public to submit their nominations for the annual Ubuntu Awards. South Africans are invited to nominate ordinary individuals and organizations whom, through excellence, creativity, social responsibility, and patriotism, have distinguished themselves as global brand ambassadors that South Africa can be proud of. All nominees for the Ubuntu Awards should meet the broad criteria of creating a favorable image for South Africa, engaging with and influencing the international public, making a sustainable and enduring impact, embodying the values of integrity, passion, and humility, as well as promoting African unity and diversity. The awards celebrate South African citizens who, through their integrity, passion, and humility, have raised the South African flag high on the international stage. Nominations can be submitted online via www.ubuntuawards.co.za, and the deadline for the nominations is 8 December this year.
Water and Sanitation Minister Nomvula Mokonyane has officially unveiled the upgraded Paarl wastewater treatment plant in Drakenstein local municipality. The upgraded plant will improve the quality of water. The Paarl Wastewater Treatment Works project, which was unveiled on Tuesday, 15 November, is one of the regional bulk infrastructure grant projects and the only wastewater treatment works project serving the Paarl residential and industrial area. The project contributes to the improvement of quality of water in Bag River, and in so doing alleviating the negative impact of poor quality irrigation water. Now, the project had effluent that did not comply with the required standards and had to be upgraded to ensure that it complies with the general standard. The Department of Water and Sanitation and the municipality have invested over 225 million for the development of the infrastructure. This will benefit over 250,000 residents and the fruit industry in the area, which is dependent on water from the Bag River for irrigation purposes. The project has also benefited the local community by enabling people to gain experience and training in construction.
SodaStream International has released a video featuring two iconic characters from the Game of Thrones series, which is Thor Bjornsson, who plays the Mountain, and Hannah Waddingham, who plays Septa Unala, which is also known as Queen Cersei's chief tormentor. The SodaStream ad advocates using fresh local tap water to make sparkling water at home over the use of polluting single-use plastic bottles that contaminate the planet. SodaStream's Shame or Glory video is a creative take on the iconic Walk of Shame atonement scene from the 5th season of Game of Thrones. The video features Hat as a production assistant on a mission to buy sparkling water from a local supermarket. He's pursued by Septonella, who rings the bell of shame and repeatedly shouts shame at the shocked assistant. When the assistant finally reaches the set, Thor Bjornsson explained the benefits of using a SodaStream machine and fresh local tap water instead of the shameful habit of using and throwing away plastic water bottles. The new video, Shame or Glory, uses humor and surprise to challenge the epidemic use of plastic single-serve bottles that are polluting the earth. More than 1 billion beverage bottles are used every single day around the world. The overwhelming majority of that plastic ends up in our landfills, parks, and oceans. And this is a crime, and it's largely going unchallenged, said the director of the video. He also added that he takes the issue very personally, and that's why he decided to make and participate in the video. But the good news is that we have fresh tap water in most parts of the world, and it's easy and economical to enjoy delicious water and even sparkling water made at home without having to pollute the planet. Disposable plastic bottles are a shameful habit that belongs to the past.
Mojo Boxing and Fitness is proud to present the Fight to Feed boxing event on the 30th of November 2016 in aid of the Peninsula School Feeding Association, an organization which works to combat the prevalence of hunger in children attending schools, with the goal to feed an entire class of 35 children breakfast and lunch daily for a year through this one event. In an effort to raise funds for the PSFA, Mojo Boxing and Fitness has invited boxing fanatics and wannabe boxers to step into the ring and throw a punch for a good cause. Owner of Mojo Boxing and Fitness in Sea Point, Joseph Chinana, and Sergio Lumanda, Mojo Boxing and Fitness resident and competing boxer and trainer, alongside some of the fighters, recently visited the school the Fight to Feed charity boxing event will be supporting, which is St. Paul's Primary School in Cape Town, and hosted an interactive boxing session with over 40 of the grade 5 learners. And that was not only fun, but also taught them physical discipline. The Fight to Feed event will take place at 6 p.m. at the Fire and Ice Hotel on the 20th of November at New Church Street, Cape Town. The event is open to the public, and tickets are 200 Rand from web tickets online. So all proceeds will support the PSFA.
From the 1st of November in all grocery stores nationwide, for every can of either Boss dog food or Petley's dog or cat food that you buy, ProMeal will be donating 1 can to charity. This is in light of the festive season that is almost upon us, and there are hundreds of animal shelters and pet-focused charities who will be struggling to cope with the demand of housing and feeding abandoned pets. The public can also help feed a pet from the comfort of your home from the 14th of November. For every picture of a pet shared on Facebook through their Feed a Pet portal and website, ProMeal will also donate a can to charity. So once you share a pet's picture using Feed a Pet, you can also vote for your favorite charity or nominate one. From the top 10 most voted for charities, 2 will be randomly selected to be the recipients of the final donations. ProMeal is aiming to raise enough support to donate up to 50,000 cans to the value of over 700,000 Rand, which for a small local business is significant.
Okay, sorry.
I just wanted to add that if you wish to support this cause, you can purchase a can of either Boss or Petley's from 1 November in participating stores, or from the 14th of November. And you can share your best pictures on www.promeal.co.za.
Okay, that finishes off our news for today. We'll take a short break and we'll be back after this.
Making a bold statement yet blending into the surrounding suburbs of Melville, 27 Boxes is a realization of edgy design and practical implementation. A radical departure from the shopping malls of our generation, yet not a return to the high streets of our youth. 27 Boxes showcases the best of a shopping centre set in a garden, surrounded by the bohemian suburb that is Melville. 27 Boxes, shop, play, eat.
Okay, everybody, if you missed the news, you missed out on a lot of stuff. That's really interesting. But as you know, every Thursday we actually look at greening and environment, exactly. And we look at organizations that are really trying their best to change the environment. And today we are actually going to focus on one called Miss Earth. Now, Miss Earth South Africa is a leadership program that aims to empower young South African women with the knowledge and the platform to create a sustainable difference in the plight to combat the destruction of our national heritage. Now, the program helps to create an awareness of sustainable development, the environment, wildlife, and conservation of the natural legacy in South Africa that we have, and ultimately, preserving Mother Earth. We recently sat down with the founder of Miss Earth SA, Catherine Constantinides, and we spoke to her. So let's play the clip and we'll come back straight after that. Okay, I think we are experiencing some technical difficulties, which really sucks because she really spoke really well about Miss Earth.
Yeah. But I mean, really, there's nothing that she can say that we don't already know about Miss Earth. I think everyone knows really what Miss Earth does, and we all know that it's really such an amazing initiative. All the young women who participate or who are finalists or contestants for the Miss Earth pageant, it just shows us that it's not just about being pretty and looking good like all these pageants are showcasing. It's about really trying to make a difference in the environment, really promoting recycling and cleaning the environment and preserving the environment for future generations. And that's really something that we can, try and echo or look up to, if I can put it that way.
Most definitely. And when you think of pageants, you always think, these beautiful girls who just walk around in bikinis,
and plastic surgery and
all those kind of things. And Miss Earth looks at pageantry in a different way. It says, although women can be beautiful and be very attractive, she can also really make meaningful strides to help their communities in any way. And I mean, Miss Earth is an example of how important the environment is, and we have to make sure that there's people who are safeguarding that environment. So yes, in 2008, Miss Earth pledged to aid the plight of penguins. So they're not only looking at just environment, they also look at marine life, which I think is very important. And their objective is to create awareness and support this beautiful, unique creature, which is the penguins. So what they do is that they hope to rehabilitate ill and injured, oiled and orphaned seabirds on a daily basis. They also help to prepare for and manage the rehabilitation of seabirds during a major oil spill and raise awareness about conservation through environmental education, as well as collaborate on research projects. So not only are they looking at specific, things in the environment, they're also quite extensively involved in marine life and marine biology and making sure that it thrives, knowing that we have, such a big sort of marine life in South Africa. It's very important that more initiatives look at it and sort of make sure that it doesn't just fall to the wayside,
Yeah, and I know one thing I actually really like about the Miss Earth pageant, and Viwe, mark my words, okay? I want you to know that I'm going to enter.
You're going to enter?
I don't know if it's next year. It might be the year after. But I'm going to enter the Miss Earth pageant. But I think our clip is ready to be played.
Yes.
It was acting up. How dare you, clip?
How dare you? I think it's a Thursday thing.
Yeah.
So we're going to play again, as I said, the founder of Miss Earth SA, Miss Catherine Constantinides. Let's listen.
South Africa came about after I was the first Miss Earth. There's an international competition which happens in the Philippines. It was a project born in the Philippines to really highlight issues around the environment. Very quickly it became the third largest international competition in the world, and after being Miss Earth, I was truly honored to be asked if I would set up a program in South Africa specifically. Everything was initially started and based from the Philippines, working with countries around the world. And when the opportunity came about, I really grabbed it with both hands. and I wanted to make something out of just a competition. I wanted this to be an educational leadership program for South African women. I wanted every woman who becomes part of this program to leave empowered, being able to understand that a young South African woman is a change maker in her society. Even if she doesn't become Miss Earth, she has a role to play. And it's important that we give skills and life skills that can be taken into any environment to the young women that become part of this program. Furthermore, we're creating environmental ambassadors, climate leaders who go out into all sorts of spheres, the working environment, into their own communities and homes, and they become the change agents that we need in order to stop the climate rise that we have seen happen. Through the work we do, we see climate change. We have seen the impact of rising temperatures. Here in our own country, we're going through an extreme drought that has seen so many terrible ripple effects, food prices going through the roof, farmers not being able to survive, agriculture being affected. And I think it's important that we now understand that every person has a role to play. And the Miss Earth South Africa is a program that's foundation has been set a long time before climate change and green issues became favorable and the fashionable thing. The foundation was built on the importance of making sure that we respect the environment around us.
And one thing I liked about what Catherine said is everybody has a role to play.
Yeah.
And we need to, just do what we need to do to try and fix what the crisis that South Africa is facing. I mean, she mentioned farmers, and agriculture and where we are in our in that regarding the agricultural sector, and we know that food prices are increasing, and what can we do to assist or to help these farmers, but one thing I like about the Miss Earth pageant is they have so many things that they focus on. Now, one thing they do is, I know that they strive to educate individuals on how to plant more trees, or on the need to plant more trees. And every Miss Earth South African ambassador is required to participate in at least one tree planting initiative during her year of ambassadorship. And many of the ambassadors continue to be involved long after their tenure with the organization. So here are beautiful girls, probably wearing heels, getting their hands dirty and planting a tree. It's not something you see every day.
No, definitely. And you think about these beautiful girls you see on Instagram,
Yes.
and you see these really, sexy pictures, but you're not really seeing them saying anything about anything, really.
Yes.
It's just about being beautiful. And what I know is that little girls look up to women. They look up to things that they find attractive. So what more than to sort of put together an attractive woman with a really, really strong cause?
Yeah.
It's smart, it's smart. And as Catherine said, it's very important that we take ownership of ourselves and our environments, because who is living in the environment? It isn't like someone else is living. You are breathing the air. You are eating the food. You are walking through, specific kinds of trees and plants. And if we aren't aware of our own faults, like just I know so many people, and in my family even, and friends who would rather throw stuff out of their window instead of wait until they get
Yes.
a bin somewhere. So we need to be very conscious of the impact we have, and that's what Miss Earth is all about.
Yeah.
Be conscious and know the kind of power that you have to really change the way in which your family or your friends look at the environment and recycling and more.
Yeah, and another thing, Viwe, that I really, really admire about Miss Earth is, yes, they promoting, how to preserve the environment and that kind of thing, but they also have a stationery drive.
Okay.
So they recently celebrated the 10th anniversary, and the goal was to collect 10,000 stationery packs for distribution around the country. Now, ultimately, they aim to ensure that every child across South Africa has his or her own basic stationery set at the start of each year. And they visited various primary schools in underprivileged areas where up to 40 learners share one pencil in a classroom. I mean, imagine that. And so yes, they have these stationery drives on a regular basis, and we know that. I mean, I have a little brother, who I almost forgot about now the other day.
I was going to say, you do?
So now my little brother, I mean, when we do stationery shopping every year, we see how expensive these things are. And the stationery list is so long. I mean, they need to have toilet paper on the list. They need to have paper. Printing paper. They need to have all these things, and they are really expensive. And so I mean, even pens, these small things are pricey if you're buying them in bulk or if you have more than one child. So they said that they found that up to 40 learners shared one pencil in a classroom.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that is super crazy.
I mean, how much is a pencil for one person to have?
Yes.
Sharing it. For 40 learners.
Yes, it's crazy. And usually there are schools that actually give the children the books and the pencils, but there are certain schools who really don't give the children it's especially in those underprivileged areas, and you're not getting stationery from the schools, and your parents also don't have money for you, money to buy the stationery.
That's a lot.
So these stationery drives have been quite successful and made quite a difference in the lives of these kids.
And I love that. I know Miss Earth really looks at children as their primary focus, and even if they're doing their planting tree ceremonies or their stationery drive or even their marine work, they always sort of look at the youth, and that's something that I really appreciate about them. So Miss Earth, we're saluting you and saying you're doing a very good job within the environmental space. But that is all from us with that segment of the show. We will come back with the topic for the rest of the show after this break. Do not go anywhere.
To the surrounding suburbs of Melville, 27 boxes is a realization of edgy design and practical implementation. A radical departure from the shopping malls of our generation, yet not a return to the high streets of our youth. 27 boxes showcases the best of a shopping centre set in a garden, surrounded by the bohemian suburb that is Melville. 27 boxes, shop, play, eat.
That was the Unity project in partnership with the Storm in Africa Foundation. Now today we will be talking about bogus charities, okay? So often, during the year, especially when it comes close to December or Easter, even the school holidays, various organizations request donations from the public. Now, some of these organizations we trust, but then there are also those who look good enough for us to give our money to.
And today we'll be looking at how much of those funds actually go to the advertised causes you might not want to know, actually. There are good charities, there are bad charities, and then there are worse charities. That's what we're going to be looking at today.
But bogus charities, or worse charities as Viwe put it.
You better say my name. I'm joking.
They often use accounting tricks that allow them to legally squeak by. Not only do they deceive the public, but they also take money away from reputable charities that make a true difference in the lives of many in need. One huge dishonorable charity in Florida, America, called the Kids Wish Network, has taken the #1 spot for America's worst charity. Yes. Okay, so now every year, the Kids Wish Network raises millions of dollars in donations in the name of dying children and their families. Every year, it spends less than 3 cents on the dollar helping kids. Most of the rest gets diverted to enrich the charity's operators and the for-profit companies Kid Wish hires to drum up donations. So basically, these people, or the Kids Wish Network, advertises the campaign, and they request donations from the public.
And I've heard of them. I've actually heard of them. Kids Wish
Yeah, and they're doing this all in the name of children and their families, children who are on their deathbed, if I can put it that way.
You have to be a special kind of
stupid
and crazy and just disgusting for you to use dying kids as a way to make money. It is horrible. And you know what it does, Libika? It casts a shadow on charities that are actually really doing it and really trying to make a difference. And now people are going to be more skeptical. Yes. Wow. Skeptical of charities and donations because of organizations like this. Okay. One other example of bad, actually worse charities is the Boys Choir of Harlem. Like, once upon a time, the Boys Choir of Harlem provided some amazing opportunities for underprivileged youth to find life, love, and passion in music. The organization took them all over the world, and participants performed at prestigious venues as the White House and the Royal Albert Hall. Now, this choir undeniably made a difference, far more than a lot of charities. However, now, the founder, Dr. Walter J. Turnbull, covered up a sexual abuse scandal in 2001, 6 years before his charity dissolved completely. Before that, a whopping 66.3% of the Boys Choir of Harlem's income went straight towards paying off its administrators, and only 33.6% paid for the actual programming itself. It did make a little bit of a difference to many young people. However, its history of switched priorities and carelessness prevented anything beyond a muddy legacy. So, how do you start a charity for boys? And you know what? You do some good stuff. You take them, around the world, and they get to sing. But then you are also using it as, your sort of they're like your prey, and you are sexually abusing them. So you're luring them with the charity, and you are sort of abusing them sexually. I'm actually really struggling to understand how someone can even think of that, or think of doing that. You're not even. Number one, you took their money. He took almost 60% of the money that was raised by the Boys Choir, and he also committed these sort of sexual sins to the kids. So the kids are being abused on so many different levels. It's actually quite it's so sad.
It really is. And I often wonder, and it's actually making sense to me now. I wonder why so many people or I've heard so many people say there's a lot of money in NGOs.
Yeah.
And this is probably the reason why, because so many NGOs, I'm not saying that all of them, obviously, there are really great ones. I mean, we spoke to Pam from Second Chances, and there are so many Little Choices and everyone else. But, I mean, so many NGOs use the NGOs as a way to fund themselves, if I can put it that way.
No, definitely. But what's worse for me is, okay, you take the money. Let's just say you commit fraud. But now why are you abusing the kids? It's so like disgusting. It's got no. There's nothing that can be said to really uncloud this legacy for the Boys Choir of Harlem. And you find a lot of these choirs and a lot of these boys choirs, especially like I know the Catholic Church has been in a lot of scrutiny because of the same sort of thing where you get these kids getting into choirs and singing all over the world. But you find that the people that are taking care of them and really giving them these opportunities are taking some sexual advantage of them. And I just think that is crazy. That is on another level of fraud. That is on another level of inhumanity, honestly.
It really is. But listen, I have a chart here. I'm not going to talk about everything on my chart because there are about 15 organizations on this chart.
Okay.
But they are in categories, right? So the first category is total raised by solicitors, and then the other one is paid to solicitors, and then the percentage spent on direct cash aid.
Okay.
So now the Cancer Fund of America made $86.8 million, right?
Okay.
Through obviously donations from people. And then the amount paid to solicitors was $75.4 million. And then the percentage spent on direct cash aid was 1%. So 1% of the money was going actually to...
It is a complete fraud.
It is crazy.
What is 1%? It's not even like... How do you even... And I know actually the history of that specific like the Cancer Fund of America was big in America. It was caught out on so many fraudulent things that they actually did in the name of cancer. And I mean, cancer is serious. Cancer is not something you play with. So many people are dying because of cancer. So many people are going through chemotherapy, and it's so heartbreaking. And for 1% out of 86 million rand to go to the actual people who needed it.
It is crazy. And
I don't
mean,
even know how that's possible.
Yes, I mean, hospital fees are crazy. You know, it's so expensive. And if you look at it this way, so many people, or some of the people that are donated, probably had someone they knew die of cancer, you know, because I mean, I've attended so many cancer events like the Relay for Life and even shave-a-thons, where so many people, it's so emotional for them, and that is why they donate to cancer,
Because they understand.
because they understand. So now you're probably going to get a portion of the people who donated to the Cancer Fund of America, who probably had cancer or know someone who died of cancer, and they donated to this cause, and then this happened.
And some people donate their last, eh? People
Yes.
donate the last money they have, and they don't have a lot of money. People don't have a lot of money, and those who do donate out of, like you're saying, experiences they've had with cancer, experiences they've had with HIV, experiences they've had with specific illnesses and stuff, and abuse, and that's what makes you give. And the fact that people will play on that weakness or play on that experience is absolutely disgusting to me, to be honest. One such case that I also know of, and I'm sure you guys know of, Bernie Madoff. Now, the Bernie Madoff scandal came about when the investment managers Ascot Partners, a hedge fund, turned out to be a multi-billion-dollar Ponzi scheme. An estimated $50 billion was lost to his underhandedness, which earned him 86 different counts of fraud. What makes Madoff's actions particularly horrifying is his complete willingness to steal from charitable organization. The Holocaust survivor, Nobel Peace Prize winner and activist at the Elie Wiesel entrusted the investor with millions of dollars, both personally and through his charity. Now, the Elie Wiesel Foundation for Humanity, which devotes its resources to fighting injustice and intolerance around the world, lost, wait for it, Libika, 15.2 million rand. And though this was by no means, the only profit he leached dry, hospitals and universities also suffered from little to no returns on his promises. Now, the Bernie Madoff case was humongous. In fact, people hashtagged him. He is like he is like the god of fraud. Like, if you want to know what happened in fraud, he is the king of fraud. But a lot of people don't know that a lot of his shady dealings were within, foundations like, the Nobel Peace Prize and, the Elie Wiesel Foundation. And to me, that's a man with no heart.
Yes.
I mean, of course, you're taking people's money, you're scamming them like normal people. Okay, that's also bad.
Yeah.
But when you look at foundations that are actually trying to change, injustices and intolerance around the world, hospitals and universities, and you're still taking money from them, I think it's so sordid. It's so horrible. And he deserves, I think the worst charity fraud of all time. Honestly, one man, Libika.
What? They should actually make a movie out of him.
I'm sure there is one coming. No? Yeah, no, definitely.
It's really crazy. I mean, what kind of mind or thinking should you be in to say, listen, I'm going to steal or rob so many people or so many communities or so many families from so much money?
And money is not easy to get.
Yes.
People work hard for their money. People worked hard for your hospitals and universities. People work hard to start foundations, guys. We speak to foundations on a daily basis. We spoke to Pam Green yesterday, who said it was so difficult for her to start off with her Second Chances Foundation. And there's people out there who are gunning for those foundations and really trying to get money off of them. I think it's horrendous. And I think it's very important that we, as journalists, speak about it more, because we need to be the whistleblowers. We need to be the watchdogs, and tell people, what, that doesn't make any sense.
Exactly.
Does that make sense? We can't let it just slip by.
And this is also I just want to add, it's just very unfair on those charities who are really struggling, or these NPOs who are really struggling to get donations from the public. It's really unfair on them. It's really unfair on them, because it makes us, as the public, a bit more wary on
Giving
trusting
out
them
money.
and that kind of thing. But okay, there's one that is closer to home. Last year, I remember, in December, there was a huge... people were scamming the Roodepoort community, and I stay in Roodepoort, so it was very, very close to home. Now, the public was urged to ensure they are donating to legitimate charity organizations, last year during the festive season, because Child Welfare Roodepoort was alerted to a scam using their information to solicit donations from well-meaning members of the public. Now, the organization's Angelique McAdam said scammers not associated with the welfare organization are using online platforms as well as approaching people in public to ask for money. And the person was actually claiming to be someone from child welfare and was using everything that's on their website and on their Facebook page and just cut and pasted everything.
Wow.
So it seemed legit. They even changed the logo, but it looked similar to the logo of Child Welfare Roodepoort. And this person apparently requested money from people. They also had a non-profit organization's number that they used and a PBO number.
Wow, they went all the way.
Yes, they went all the way. So these people obviously knew what they were doing. And I remember I worked at the Roodepoort Record last year, and a colleague of mine received an email from these people saying, it's festive season, the children really need we need money to buy them gifts. We need money to buy, we want to throw them a Christmas party, just to make them feel like we're all a big happy family. So they were so, I can't even call them smart, but they really thought they knew what they were doing, and they really thought that they covered all their tracks so much that they
were not just going to go.
They went to the media and asked. They went to the media and asked, "Can you please help our children? Can you please?" And that's how we also knew, like, hey, the logo looks similar, but it's not the same. So yeah, that was what happened last year in December, and that's also why I mentioned that it's in these times where organizations, scamming is just high. It's rife, So yes, it was just crazy.
And what's crazy is that I know we've been saying crazy for the past hour because we are so shocked.
Yes.
But it's so difficult to actually know who's scamming you when you're online, right? It's so much easier. It's like charity catfish. You don't know whether or not someone is being legit. So I think it's very important that we also start maybe talking about how we can spot fraudsters from a mile away. So if I know how many times I get a Standard Bank, you count, you need to pay this much, fraud email. It's very difficult for us to look at the internet and really find out the truth. It's a very difficult space to navigate. So we've come up with a few ways in which you can sort of spot whether or not the charity that you maybe want to give money to, maybe you want to lend a hand or even volunteer at, maybe a victim of maybe a fraudulent charity. So if you've received an email asking you to donate to a charity, and the email refers you to a website or a phone number you can use to make a payment from or by credit or debit card, that's one of the ways in which you can see. Organizations don't usually give you sort of a phone number that you can use to make a payment to credit or debit card. It doesn't work that way. Charities work in a different way. So if you're getting emails from people you don't know, from emails you've never used, from charities you don't even support, then you need to be wary and just make sure that if you do sort of buy into their story, you call them, you visit them, you spend time with the children, you spend time with whatever they cause they're doing, you see what it is that they're doing from ground level, and then you start seeing whether or not you can pay.
Yes, and also genuine charities are registered with the Charity Commission, and they print their registration details on all documentation, collection bags, envelopes, etc. So you need to make sure that you check these details and check that they exist, and also contact the Charity Commission to confirm they are authentic.
Definitely. So you have to make sure that the authenticity of the charity is certified, right? If they have all of their specific numbers and whatever within their packaging, within their letters, within their emails, you can at least go and check with that authority. Also, if someone just approaches you in public or calls you at your front door asking you to put money in a collection box, you need to be wary of those people, because there's a difference, guys, between giving money to a beggar on the streets and for someone really using another organization's name to make money for themselves, right? Some people just make money without really having the need to make money. Like they don't have any ailments, there's nobody in their family who's dying, and they're not being honest about what they're going to do with the money. So if people just come up to you in a public space and they ask you to put money in a box, it's probably going to be fraud. Also, if they put an envelope at your door and come back to collect it later, that's a red flag. You cannot give money to people who do not give you the correct or identification. You cannot just be giving money to people just because they have a stamp or you have to make sure that you know where the money is going. You don't want to be a victim of charity donation fraud. You just have to be wary and be aware of these kinds of people. Also, if they leave a bag at your home asking you to fill it with clothes, and even if and what I don't like is when they say it's for children overseas, or like from Ghana or from Mozambique, and I'm like, okay, so you're in South Africa and you want to make money for people in Mozambique. Okay, is this the smartest strategy? It isn't the smartest strategy to go into my door and ask me for money just like that. I'm not going to do it. And if you do it, you really need to rethink it and make sure that you are doing it for the right people and the right causes, because anybody can do it nowadays. I mean, I could even go.
Yes, and
ask.
I mean, you can if you have like clothing that you'd like to donate, you can go to an orphanage or a charity of your choice, and you can take it to them personally. And also, if someone comes to you and they say the collection is for a charity is genuine, okay, you need to check the collection is authorized by asking the charity directly. Okay, and you must use the contact details from the phone book or website that is genuine. Or, I mean, nowadays we just save their numbers in our phone. So just call the person and say, okay, you sent Vware to my house. Is Vware really from your organization? Because, guys,
Vware could be from her house.
Yes.
You're trying to get a meal.
Yes, and please, if you suspect anything suspicious, contact your local authority or police station to check whether the collector has been given a license to collect, or if you, like I mentioned, just suspect anything suspicious.
And what's worse now is that they're using kids to collect money. If you see these kids walking around and they've got these raffles, and I mean, you don't really know if it's a real raffle or they're working for someone else who's really just trying to use them to get money. You need to be very, very cautious and to ask them, who are you? Who told you about this raffle? How is this money going to help? The kids usually don't know how, and if they don't know, that's one of the ways in which you can know whether or not it's a real cause. I remember also, I don't know if you watched the movie, and I know maybe a movie is a little bit off, but have you watched the movie, is it How to Get a Million Rand? How to Win a Million Rand? Or
the
something?
South African movie?
No, the Indian one.
No.
Freak, I forgot it. But this guy, he wins R1 million at a game show. And then, he's from the slums. Slumdog Millionaire. That's the movie, Slumdog Millionaire. You clearly haven't watched it.
Nope.
But anyway, there's a scene there where they are little kids who are living on the streets. And what happens is that the kids actually have a master, like a pimp kind of thing. And this pimp sort of takes them to this warehouse, or like, I think it's a recycle place, or like a place where they all get sort of a place to sleep and whatever. And what he does, Libika, is that he gives them marks on their faces, or cuts off their limbs, or cuts off their eyes, so that when they ask for money, they can get more money because they can't see, or they don't have, so they use. And that's what's happening in India, and it's a true thing. That's what happens, and that's what happens here as well. We may not see it all the time, but people will always use your sympathy to get money. But there's kids who are being used to get more money through ailments, through acting like, you broken leg or you have no eye or whatever the case may be. So people need to be very wary, and they need to be very cautious about where and who they give their money to.
I actually remember earlier this year when I was out with Pam from Second Chances. So we were walking down the street, and I was trying to get footage of her, interacting with the homeless people.
Yes.
And there was this guy he had a cup in his hand. If you want to give money. They put it in the cup. So he couldn't reach out his right hand because it looked broken, right? So he was limping and he was walking all funny. And then Pam went to him and she's like, "Hi, I'm Pam. How are you?" And she put out her hand to shake his hand, and then he used that broken hand to shake her hand. So it wasn't really broken. And I was just like, wow. I actually felt really sorry for him when I first saw him. I was like, this guy, he's on the streets, he has a broken arm. But hey, and my grandfather, I know this is a bit of a digression, but my grandfather told me that we stay in Discovery, right?
Okay.
So often kids come to the door to ask for bread. And when you open the door, guys just come from nowhere and they come into your house and they steal whatever you have. So it's really sad. You look at these kids and you feel so sorry for them. But this is also a way how you can be scammed without you knowing. So you have to be very wary at all times. You really need to be. And this is South Africa. Crime is so high, especially now during the festive season, because people are going away and your houses are alone or whatever the case may be. But yeah, it's crazy.
Scary.
It's scary, yeah.
Yeah, and I think it just shows how, these big corporations sort of use the same sentiment when they're frauding. They use sympathy. They use really, really sad charitable cases to get your money and to get you to donate. And some of them are big. Some of them are like, Bernie Madoff, which is 15.2 million rand taken from a foundation to, just 1% of that going to the actual charity, to just kids on the street who are sort of being used as pawns to make money for some guy who's watching them from some building you don't even know. So it's very important, guys, that we actually look at the bigger problems, and the problems may not look, it may look one way to you, like in the beginning, but you need to always further investigate whoever comes to you asking for aid, because it's very scary. But I hope that the show didn't make you feel like you are never going to give money away or going to donate, because that's not our intention. Our intention is to say that it's not like we don't see the fraud, we see it. And if there are any charities who are engaging in fraud and trying to get people to give them money, we are onto you, and we will always inform the public.
Yes, and I'd also just like to, on that note, I'd like to add that Child Welfare Roodepoort is still, they're still situated in Roodepoort and they still care for kids. So if you want to donate, please contact them directly and not just receive any email. Well, I think the scamsters of last year were caught, but obviously since then people have been a bit skeptical, whether they should donate or not. But please, they are still needing donations. They are struggling NPO. So please, maybe we should just get them on the show as well.
I think so.
And just hear their side of the story and how the scam of last year has really affected them, because it has a long-lasting effect on the NGO.
And their reputation.
Exactly, because now all we're going to think of, remember that child welfare in Roodepoort, this is what happened to them. I'm not going to trust them. So I think the scamsters have been caught, and if you'd like to donate, please go on their website and you'll find them. But if you just receive a weird email, just
or a call or someone at your door,
that's crazy.
Don't do it. Just as we said, close the door or hang up or delete the email, and don't share it with anybody if you aren't sure. And also, if you are in South Africa, you are in Johannesburg area, visit the organization if there is an organization. It's so easy to get into a car and go see for yourself what's happening. So it's very important, guys, that you do your own homework and you do your own research. Charities can only do so much. They cannot also look at who's frauding, who's doing fraud, and who's really taking their name and in essence catfishing everyone. So you need to be very wary.
Yes, and also if you know of a charity that has really struggled after being scammed and, you know, the reputation has been tarnished, please let us know. And we can see if we can interview them and just, you know, sometimes you just need to hear it from them themselves, you know, because, I mean, reading things online is not always good. You shouldn't always believe everything you read online. But yes, just let us know on our social media platforms. It's at Social One TV on Twitter, at TV_CSI on Instagram, and at Social TV on Facebook. And please don't forget to use the hashtags Brand Live and Social Show.
No, definitely. And that marks the end of our episode today on bogus charities. And perhaps next week we'll be able to speak to child welfare and just hear their side of the story, just to sort of transcend the conversation further.
Yeah, but Phoebe, sorry, you said that's our episode for today. So I just wanted to point it out.
It's an episode. Like, who said radio doesn't have episodes? Lebika, are you the god of English?
I'm doing this because you always call me out. So
are you the Jesus of English?
It's 1-1. It's no more 1-0.
Okay. Thank you so much for joining us today, guys. We'll see you again tomorrow, same time, same place. The Social Show. The Social Show is the only show that gives you updated content on all things CSI.
The show will interrogate and report on the latest initiatives that are supported, developed and initiated by the public and private sector.
Hosted by myself, Viwe Cholwana,
and me, Lebika Robert,
every week from 4 to 5 p.m. Hear it on brandlive.co.za.
See it on social-tv.co.za.
brandlive.co.za, harnessing the power of talk radio.